Hey, something pretty different right now. It's the middle of January, and these little wood chests you see here are cold frames. And what I'm doing right now is I've got a bunch of seed. This is Quercus ilicifolia seed, which is bare oak planted. Got a few others in my pocket right now. We've got Ceanothus americana. We've got a couple different types of goldenrod here, Saldaga odorata. This is some, you can actually see the seeds on this one. This is a species of anemone here. And I've got about, three of these full of planters, essentially. Some of these aren't filled up yet because they're going to be, they don't need the cold stratification. But what I've effectively done here, and the ones covered in snow got planted last weekend, then snowed over the top, or 2 weeks ago. Geez, I'm losing track of time here. This month I planted some of these earlier, but what I'm doing here effectively is replicating the natural conditions through which some of these would be germinated. Some of them I don't have high hopes on. I planted some Rus typhina, and I think that might need acid scarification. It needs to be chewed up, digested, and then crapped out. But we'll see what happens. Most of these I've grown before, and I know you grow a lot of asters. You basically just need to scatter the seed over the top of the soil, and they come up, gangbusters in the spring. But quite a few of these I've never actually grown before. Quercus, oaks, grow on accident because you get the squirrels stash them in pots. You just got to plant them deep. They'll either come up this year or next year. I think they might send a root down the first year, and then they send the cotyledon, the little embryo leaf up next year. So yeah, the three that this is actually on top of a pallet underneath it. These are going to be grasses, which you can, you want to sow those early, like in probably late March. I'll end up sowing those. They don't need as long of stratification, I've heard. Did a few more here. These were all done last week. These were all done earlier in the month. So this is my plan to keep them outside, keep them cold, somewhat sheltered from wind chill, which will be beneficial, maybe early in the spring, but they'll grow up, and this prevents anything from kind of getting in there and messing around with them. Because even if you put up fencing like I've done, I don't know, you could probably see the rabbit shit there, little rabbit prints. Rabbit figured out how to get in, and I've been chewing down some of my stuff. I had a Comptonia peregrina right there that had just gnawed down to almost nothing. We'll see if that even comes back next year. Got some Lobile cardinals overwintering here. These were just full of herbs that have all finally died. That rosemary lasts a long time. Hopefully they'll do what they did last year and just kind of self-seed themselves. You can see there. Yeah, there's that that was oregano, so that's good oregano seed. Put that in there. That came up on its own last year. Maybe we'll do that again this year. Of course, still got my pitcher plants sitting here in the snow, doing just fine. The little one's kind of struggling a bit because when it gets cold, it sucks the moisture out of the pot. But we're not talking about that. So this is essentially how I sow everything, and I'll put up a little picture here of them that are basically. You can smell the oregano on my hands. Put up a little picture of my little tracking grid that I built in Excel just to keep track of all this stuff. But I got the pallets labeled on the sides. You can't see. Everything corresponds. 1, 2, K, L. It starts, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, element O, P. I don't know how much longer, how much more explanation needs to be done for this sort of thing, but I'm going to seal these up. That's how I start my plants in the winter. I've never sown them outside, but we'll go into my garage real quick and I'll show you, how I've done this in years past. Obviously, everything over there was grown elsewhere and planted on my foot tracks. The bunnies have been going to town on anything that they can get their hands off. So we'll seal this up. I'll show you the pallets I have inside, and I'll show you one other thing. And then I have, just as a brief aside, what I've also done here is that bucket right there. I've mixed different types of soil. I've used just regular potting soil. Almost everything in here is like a super sandy, thin soil to replicate the habitat these things grow in. Some of it I mixed in some peat moss to make it a bit richer. Some of it I gave it a little bit of ash to make it a little bit more calcareous. Raise the pH up a bit. And that's basically, this is a first. So we'll see how this works. So maybe we'll check in, late April, early May when these are starting to germinate. So quite a few months to go, but these are going to sit out here They're going to experience a winter, the winter that they've evolved to experience, and we'll see what happens to them in the spring. Let's go look at my more traditional method of stowing this, what I've done in years past. Okay, so here we've got the garage. These are flats. These are more traditional germinating trays, and in years past, issues I've had with these, I hate transferring these into the pots that you saw outside. So I kind of divided. These are slower growing. You know, they'll stay less than 2 or 3 inches the first year that they grow. We can just leave them in the flats here. These are actually Amalantia seedlings that I got after the fact. Didn't have room for them in the pallets out there, but I'm keeping them in here because I'm gonna germinate these inside because these are pretty special. You pop the lid off of this, and you'll basically see this one's mostly empty. But yeah, they're the seeds hanging out on there. Ooh, it smells good. So what the whole purpose of this is basically you have to have a cold stratification to replicate winter. And the reason why we do that is just because, these plants evolved in an area where there is winter. Some stuff, like some of the grasses I'm planting, a handful of the other, species at their northern end don't need it. You can just put them right in the ground. Those will be germinated in the spring. But these are, all northern plants. I got a whole bunch of pitcher plants stratifying in this one here. So, we leave these in here for, usually you want to do 2 or 3 months, and then we can actually germinate these before, we can actually germinate these inside under my grow lamps downstairs before, and I'll probably, it doesn't really matter. I'll just show you the grow lamp setup, and then maybe we'll check in at some point when stuff's germinating later on in the season. We could cut to that, but very, very basic. I'm just kind of trying stuff out, various different things. We'll see what happens. But yeah, let's go check in downstairs. Let's just show you the grow lights I'm talking about. Some of the stuff I have indoors right now, and then we'll go from there. This will be kind of a case by case basis. I'll put this one out just to kind of fill the winter gap for now. But hopefully some of these actually come up. I had good luck last year with some species, but Joe Pye weeds, goldenrods. I've had a lot of luck with pitcher plants in the past. Keeping them alive was more difficult than germinating them, but that's a lesson learned. Gotta keep distilled water, rainwater for those guys. And let's go look at the grow light setup downstairs, and I'll just kind of give you a rundown. Okay, and here's the actual grow light setup I got downstairs here. Obviously, these are all plants that I've moved indoors for the winter: succulents, non-native stuff, pineapples, dracaena, etc. Not my cup of tea, but stuff I've been charged with, being responsible for, so to speak. That little thing down there, these are actually rhododendron canadens seeds that are not coming up, even though I've grown these in the past. They didn't need any stratification. They came right up and did pretty well up until what ended up happening with those is they all died outside. They dried out, and then a couple of them survived when I moved in here, and then they got eaten by a bunny. So we'll try again, but they germinated really well. The first year I grew them much better than the Kalmia seeds that I was also trying to grow. So I think I might. It's cold. This is the basement, so it's cold. I think I might just need to put a little heat pad underneath. We'll see where that gets us. But I'll probably end up building another shelf like this. You can too. Just crap from Home Depot, or you order from an actual reputable supplier. It'll run you a couple $100, but nothing crazy. And I mean, you could put easily 3 of those racks on here, probably more if I was smarter about it. I kind of left it open on top so that I could fit, mature plants here. But I might put another one in right here next door, and we'll see if we can, germinate some plants. I'll probably employ the use of the heat pads. It'll help assist break the dormancy. One other comment I'll say, I just add to everything. I'm growing some stuff outside in natural conditions. I'm using a lot more seed per pot. What can happen with those is some of them will freeze. they go into a deeper dormancy. They might not pop up this year. Some of them will get clipped by frost early in the season. So give yourself a few opportunities. I mean, I've got probably, well, close to 400 plants germinating right now. If half of those come up, I'll be impressed. And if 100 of those actually make it to maturity, it's a numbers game. You want to plant way more than what you think you're actually going to grow. Because I got close to 400 plants germinating right now, and if I can get 3 or 4 of them per cell to actually pop up and make it to maturity, I'll be pretty impressed with myself. I'm trying to get better at this aspect because now I've got a lot more incentive to actually grow and plant stuff. But keep this one really brief. This is my general ethos on how I'm germinating, stratifying, germinating my stuff. And it's going to be quite a few months before we see any sort of reward to this, unless I can get those rhododendron seeds to pop. Got the heat pads coming in, so we'll put that underneath. We'll maybe wait a week to see what happens there. Put this up because if I could get those to pop, that'd be nice. Just to give you an example, but this is the type of stuff. This is the type of thing more people need to be doing. The majority of the stuff I've sown this year are plants that I get some stuff that I, not to advertise, but I get some stuff from manufacturers. These are all grasses. This is stuff that doesn't need the winter stratification, like pycnanthemum, stuff like that. It keeps. I buy some of that, but the vast majority of the stuff that I'm planting, here what's this one, Verbena hastata, stuff that I've gone out and collected in the wild, because you're not going to find, like, for example, like this is a hibiscus moscheueto seed. Now, actually, I mean, most of the stuff you can find, but it's always fun to go out and collect it on your own too. You get Dollangaria, umbellata. Some of this, you're not going to see quite as often. Desmodium solari, Desmodium canadense, Apocynum, Dogbane. I'm not growing milkweed this year because I got a whole bunch already planted. I can always collect seed from them, assuming they bloom. This year, this is Helianthus decapedalus, actually Helianthus stromosus. I just edited the video where I misidentified that. I collected seed from it while I was there. Random Symphyotrichums that I didn't have any way to identify them because I had already gone to seed. Got a few Soldagos like that too. I got a Eutrochium like that too. And then, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Off there, the biggest germinating and planting project I've done to date. So we'll have to see how it goes. Some good general guidelines. I'll give a shout out to this book, Native Plants of the Northeast, which I think I might even talk about the very first video I ever made. This isn't exhaustive, but I mean, I'm not planting. This is not a gospel, and this is actually pretty inaccurate with some of the taxonomy. But if you can figure out the genus, so I'm not like in here is I'm growing Solidago odorata, Solidago flexicalis, and Solidago canadensis. If you actually go in here, we'll pop it open right now. It's organized by a really weird, like they don't know how they divide things up. So they'll cover like 10 species of rhododendron here that all have essentially the same germination requirements. And then some stuff they just have, nothing for. Well, here's a good one. Here's one I'm planting. So they get, Ceanothus americanus. It's got the propagation, seed, cold stratified for 3 months. So that's what I'm doing. It's outside right now. It'll come up on its own. Cephalanthus occidentalis. That's what I'm growing too. Seed will germinate without pre-treatment. I didn't know that. But you know what? I don't think that... I've actually grown this a long time ago. I don't think I stratified it back then. But I also don't think the stratification will hurt it because it grows, 5 minutes away from here. Yeah, there's Cephalanthus occidentalis versus Ceanothus. Grows 5 minutes away from here. It's going through that winter, period. It definitely wouldn't hurt it. So what was I looking for? These are all shrubs. I was looking for herbs, flowers. There we go. Let's see here. Where's Solidago? I think they... Okay, so I lied, actually. Solidago, canadensis, and flexicalis are both in here. But I don't think you get Solidago. No Solidago odorata, licorice, goldenrod. That's the third one I'm growing. But, it's going to have the same advice for all of these. They're going to have different, light and soil requirements. But the germination in a genus is usually pretty similar. Somebody, please correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully somebody that actually does, a lot more of this than I do. but this is a good place to start at least. And you're going to experiment. You're going to fail. A ton of your stuff's going to die. That's okay. Propagation, easy from seed or cuttings, easy from seeds sown in autumn or from divisions, and you can break it apart. You know, you could divide Soldago canadensis, but Soldago flexicalis. Let's see. What does that one say? Easy from seed or cuttings. Easy from seed is generally keyword from you can just throw it and plant it. But again, like I just said, Dolengaria, the last time I tried to grow that, it said the same thing. Easy from seed or cuttings. I'm trying again this year. I'm going to stratify it, and we'll see, because I have a hunch it'll do a lot better if it's been stratified. So I tried to grow it 1 year. It didn't come up because I didn't stratify it. I just sowed it right into a sowing tray. Nothing came up. I tried it again with the same batch of seed the next year, and I didn't properly store the seed, so it just didn't come up. And then this year, it's going through a proper, collected this fall, sown, kept cold, kept moist, and ideally, that dormancy will break in the spring. I think I had that one. I can just show you the grid. Yeah, this is how the bread is made, my friends, right here. So this is the little grid I put together to keep track of everything. And did we actually? Yeah, Dolengaria umbellata, DU. So come down here, keep track of the things that I've sown. An Excel wizard. I changed to bold, as you can see. Bold, so that means I've sown it. I've just come back in from sowing a bunch of things, so we're gonna turn those bold, and then these three quadrants you see there that are red, that just means I want to plant them closer to the spring. So this is what's in those three big things outside, and then if we go to the left, these are the two sowing trays, and this is the amalancher. So similar thing here, you know. Includes spring grass starts, so I'm going to just direct sow those, and we're going to give them no, Pycnanthemum muta comes in there too. A few things are in there that allegedly don't need stratification, so we'll see how that goes. That's how I'm keeping all this stuff organized, and then here's like my notes on, you know, what soil types are going in, seed depth. Here's the count of how many of them I planted. Oh, but where did I put the Dolengaria umbellata? Okay, so that's in cell B2 outside. So that's in that furthest one to the front, the one that was completely covered in snow that you would have seen at the beginning of the video. It's in one of those. So we'll see, because this is, again, we're just replicating the natural conditions. That's the entire idea behind. Number one, that's why you plant natives, is because they don't need any special treatment. They just grow naturally in their respective habitats. I'm gonna have to make another box down here somewhere to the Anemone virginiana. I had a spare flat lying around from something else. I'll have to put that on here too. But yeah, 366 starts is what's planned, and I've started to germination on all of them except for these 6 quadrants here and these 3 here. So we probably planted over 300. We filled over 300 cells. And that's not even counting the Anemone virginiana. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point. This is my general approach I take to this. This is new. I've never been this organized with this sort of thing. We'll see how things go. Get yourself a dual monitor setup if you're editing video. It's gonna save you a lot of trouble. And yeah, we'll see how well this goes. I guess we'll have our answer come late April, early May. Take it easy, folks. Let me know. I know that I said I was going to do more stuff like this. It'll be a little bit more interesting. I'll do some seed collection videos, I guess, even though it's not really that interesting, because again, I am learning this, so I would rather do this as a trial and error, and you're just watching the trial and error rather than me lecture. So anyway, if you absolutely hate this, let me know, and if you like this, let me know. Might be interesting when the stuff starts popping out of the soil. Okay, I'm back less than a week after I shot the initial phase of this yet to be titled segment. Probably NEcology Garden is what I'll be calling this, as we progress through. And I'll fine tune this. Consider this year like a dry run. I'm still learning how to do a lot of this propagation stuff, so bear with me. I'm just going to basically be sharing what I'm doing as I'm going along here. So propagation, in here is a whole tray of about 12 cells full of rhododendron Canadens seeds. Last time I checked in, I had showed this off. They were not germinated. I had since ordered this handy dandy little heat mat here, and this doesn't get hot per se. What it actually is doing, I don't feel like clearing everything off of right now, and I also don't feel like advertising the brand because I've only had it less than a week, and maybe it'll crap itself out and be a terrible product. But for about 15 bucks, I was able to get one of these online, and this is actually big enough to fit a standard, a 1020 planting tray. You get the idea. Would normally fit underneath this, got a nice little absorbent mat just to, number one, it's supposed to help actually raise the temp, and number two, to keep any water spills off it. So anyway, most plants, go through, at least in New England native plants will go through a period of cold stratification, and then in the summer, or in the spring more accurately, the temperature reaches a certain point where that soil horizon is above a certain temperature, and that effectively breaks the dormancy. However long the extended cold triggers the seed to go dormant, and the warm heat of the early spring triggers it to emerge. So now rhododendron Canadens does not need that period of cold stratification. It'll germinate whenever the soil temperature is amicable for it. And last time I think I had showed this off, there was nothing germinating in this after only 2 days of this this grow mat, which again, not hot to the touch, just like a cup of warm water. Very, very tepid is what I would say. We have a mission success. You'll take note there. If you can even make that out, there's one right in the center right there. We've got germination of rhododendron Canadens. So definitely happy with how this worked out for this particular species here. And when we bring our additional trays, these will go back inside of a 1020 tray. When we bring the rest of them in, they'll be happy to have a nice little warm placemat to hang out on. So that's a good sign. The fact that I've got, a decent amount of condensation up here, even though it is open, I'm not that worried about it. I'm keeping this full. There's some standing water there. This is a plant in general. You want to keep it pretty moist. So we have successfully germinated one of our species for this year, rhododendron Canadens, and I'll put this together in the video, and I'll get this out to you. Kind of like a, basics of propagation, but I'm no pro, so you're watching me essentially stumble through this. Everybody's got a little bit different of a technique. I'll probably fine tune this, who knows, 2-3 years from now, I could be employing an entirely, different technique to this. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you like these, let me know. I probably won't get around to making another one until maybe late March. Probably even later. I probably wouldn't be making it until actually April, because that's when I'm gonna bring the rest of my trays in from the garage, put them on a bigger mat, get those germinating, and as soon as those seeds start striking, I'll make another video and I'll kind of go over my my plan for what each of those species are going to now need, because some of them will be able to stay in the cells for a year or two, because they'll stay small. These notwithstanding, they stay very small. Some of them will have to go be repotted. Some of them, like the grasses, some of the asters, I expect to take off right away. I'll probably have to time things right. So if they're striking in early April, I'm gonna have to pivot right away and go make sure that those are potted up outside in May, and then you got to dodge some of those late frosts. It'll be an interesting experiment. We'll have to see what happens. But in any case, take it easy.